but he had those guys, so they'll be out there today. You know, I encourage our guys to ask questions, and you know, I mean, that's what we said. Ask them. They're the ones who are calling it. They'll tell you exactly what they're looking for, why they're going to call something, and what the emphasis is. So it's good to have them out here. I thought yesterday was a good first day in pads. I thought they did a hell of a job. Came out and competed. It was, you know, as most, it's a little rusty, but those are things you correct. But I did think they came out with good intensity and practiced hard. Yeah, I mean, I was fired up. I mean, because they were competing, man. It was good to see both of them, two young bucks, go after it. You know, they were, look, we had a pretty good idea of Amon-Ra, you know, the sun god, what he's capable of. Just when he gets pads on, his aggressiveness, it showed up on tape in college. Like, look, this guy will mix it up. And there's things you see at iffy in school, but yet I didn't quite know. And just to know he's got a little, hey man, I'm not your punching bag, that encouraged me. It really did. And the fact they went, you know, we got them paired up again, and it was a good rep. It was still competitive, but it was a good rep. Nobody backed down from each other, and they got better from it. So I was happy.
When you spoke about the officials, what was 1 or 2 points of emphasis that stuck out to you?
I would say for them, you know, penalties were down last year offensively, way down. And just the fact that, like, that was one of the things that I kind of wondered about. Like, are those going to stay down? Are we kind of trending that way? And I guess not even so much a point of emphasis it is look, guys, we believe it's being called the right way. So that would lead you to believe that, okay, offensively, you know, and I'm not saying anything has changed philosophy-wise, but it would tell you, okay, man, you know, offensively, it's not going to be as nitpicky as it's been. Doesn't mean they're not going to be looking for things, the obvious and things of those nature, but that the cut block is a big one. Yeah, holding. There was a lot of things back in the day, man. I remembered, back in the day, 2 years ago, you get a guy hit, you know, and that ball gets hit, man, it doesn't matter. Well, it's in the framework, but if his frame is even right here, even half a foot away from where I was, they're going to call that thing. I remember there was a couple last year, even when I was in New Orleans, I was like, ooh, I think that's a hold. I'm glad we didn't get it called, but I feel like they're not man, it's got to be truly blatant. You see it. You know, I'm just saying that's where it's trending. You know, I get it. And as long as we're aware of that, and that tells me defensively, man, it's got to be all out, violent separation, whatever it takes so the ref sees the struggle to get out. I'm outside his framework. I mean, those are the things I think of. But the other is the cut blocks. Can't cut outside the tackle box. That's a big one. That's a big change. Offensive linemen, man, your screens, they're used to cutting. I'm the first one out. I'm throwing, and it's not even about cutting to get the guy down. That's what it's about, cutting, because it forces him to have to avoid you, and so that clears the hole for the running back. Now he gets downfield. But even DBs, you know, toss crack, and I'm the corner on the edge. Here comes, you know, 320. Here comes Sewell on the edge, or Decker. 320 pounds, 330 pounds. Pull it, man. Can't go low. You got to stay high. So defend yourself without cutting a tackle. I mean, but those are things we have to be ready for. It can only be inside that tackle box, which is 2 yards outside the tackle itself, and then 5 yards deep, 5 yards behind the offense. So it's a change. It'll just be something we'll have to get used to. It's not like you do that in practice anyway, but games, you know, you used to be able to do that, and that's out. So that's kind of a big one.
Dip back to the scrap really quick with Iffy and St. Brown. You know, some coaches will make those guys run laps. Others will kick them out of practice as soon as they, you know, one punch is thrown. You put them back head to head. I don't know, 10 snaps later. do you get them back into control between those two moments, and why do you discipline the way you do?
Yeah, I mean, look, the emphasis has been on, they know what we don't want. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a couple of heated battles in there, but to me, where you end up having a problem when you start having all-out brawls all practice long, and it's like, oh my God, here we go. We got a 10-minute period, and we got 8 minutes of it is fighting amongst the team. Well, it's counterproductive. At that point, you got to do something about it because you're not getting any work done. But those little things, I think, man, I just think they make you practice better. They make you practice harder. You don't want to lose to that guy. You're pissed off, and it makes you want to. I love it because it puts you to that point where you see red so much that you want to beat this guy, but yet you got to be under control enough to know that you can't just go out there and throw a haymaker, if you will, as it relates to football, because that's what this is about. It's no different in the game. You get so mad that, man, you go out there and you're out of control. Well, that's not good any. You can't win that way. But I do think to be able to, to get pushed to that point, to that limit, to where, man, you're going to do whatever it takes to beat that guy and know that he's going to try to do the same to you. I really do believe that's how you get better. I just do. So it was good. I thought they responded well, both of them.
How do you change that attitude, I guess, for game situations? So, I mean, if St. Brown reacts that same way in a game situation, that's a 15-yard penalty. So how do you balance that?
You don't fight in games. It's a 15-yard penalty. You don't do it. And you tell them you don't do it. And I think they know you don't do it. But this isn't a game. This is practice right now, getting ready for a game. That's how I view it. Yeah, I got you. Fire away.
Let's let Justin get his stuff done. When you're installing new schemes, how much can you do in film sessions and in the practices you've had before? How much do you need to do in pads and really put it into practice?
Yeah, I think there's so much about what you're going to do as it pertains to run, play, pass, things of that nature that, if I'm trying to find the best way to answer that question, let me back up. If you're not using pads for your run game, particularly gap scheme, because that's where you get the true doubles and people are on you right now, more than even zone. Like, I feel like you could practice the zone, just run game, without being in pads and probably can get better at it. But if you're doing more gap schemes, inside zone, things of that nature, which we're going to do some, we're going to do them all, but we're going to do some, you have to have pad work, and you need it defensively too. There's no way around it. Because if you really want to get good on both sides of the ball, you need those pads on. You need to learn to come off the ball, and it just, because it takes a physical toll both ways. And if you're not ready for it, you'll just get trucked. You'll get pushed off the ball, and or you won't be able to move anybody. It's a joke. So I think you need it, but also I would tell you this: you need it too when you get into your pressure game. Like we do pressure. Our pressure periods, blitz packages, our defense is bringing exotics, or they're doing twist games, and like you need your pads, because you can't pass all that stuff off in pajamas. It doesn't happen, and you're not snapping it enough, or you do, and somebody gets hurt. You need those pads on to be able to, because that's a physical side of the game people forget, is the pass rush when you start involving blitz in games inside, TEs, ETs. I mean, that's pretty violent in there. So you need pads to get that type of work. Did I answer your question? Yeah. I was just making sure. I was like, somebody was yelling at me. Who
I
is
was just asking about Tyrell Williams got hurt yesterday.
Yep.
Fingers. What's his status?
Yeah, he's good. He just got a little pinky there. It was, he just dislocated. It was right back in. He's good to go. He'll be out there today.
And then yesterday, Dean gave Jamar his looked like his welcome to the league hit, and then after that, it looked like Jamar kind of stepped it up the rest of practice. Can you just give any early observations on his play so far?
Jefferson?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, Jefferson, I feel like every day Jefferson's done a little bit. He's making a couple of runs here. He's got pretty good vision. And I do. I think he's kind of got it. He's got a feel about him. And I feel like he's growing a little bit every day. He's smart. You know, he's one of those guys. I've been in Deuce's meetings where he didn't say much up there, but when Deuce calls on him, he's got it. He's got it, you know. And I tell you what fired me up out of everything Jamar did yesterday was when we were doing the same drill you guys were talking about with Amon and Iffy. He got in there and he got beat bad. And it made him, he was so, you could just see it, man. And he wanted to be back in there immediately. Like, he really wanted the rep again, but Fipp had already called somebody else, you know, and it was, I could tell it bothered him, you know. And not just bothered, hey, look at me, it bothers me, so you see me like I'm getting bothered, you know. Like, it really, it legitimately, like, bit at him. And I love that. I love that. I do. Because I know that today he's not going to want to let that happen again. And that's just special teams, so it's good. It's good to see these young guys grow a little bit.
Yeah, Coach, I just wondered, this is about Anthony Pittman. I just wondered when you were the third player on the roster, he's been on the practice line for a couple of years. How do you look at him, and how has he progressed through since you've played him?
Yeah, he's grown. And it was funny because when we came in, Pittman was, you know, who is this guy? And we're trying to figure out what to do with him. What did he play? You know, we're watching some of the practice from last year, and you look at his dimensions, and we listen to some of the coaches that were here, people, and they're like, you know, AG's like, man, this guy sounds like he should be inside, not an outside linebacker. You know, I know that he had gotten moved to there, and he's trying to do some edge stuff, and so we just didn't know a lot about him, but we brought him in, talked to him. He said, Coach, man, I feel like inside is where I belong. That's what and so we moved him inside, and I mean, he's just been doing this. He's just been, you know, he shows up every day. Every day he does something. And he can run, he's physical, he's young. He's a young guy. And so he's one of those guys you get really fired up about as a young guy developing and growing. And it's like, what can be? What can this guy be? But the potential is there, and he's working extremely hard at it.
Thanks, guys.